Hi, I'm continuing this is gonna be a Yin Yoga Snack. It's gonna be a half hour. What I would recommend having is a blanket, a block if you have it, to sit comfortably, and a squishy pillow if you have one. If you don't, it's fine. But a pillow is always nice, gives you something to hug. So let's get started. I have my big squishy pillow. My favorite pillow. And I'm gonna sit on it. So I imagine this practice for any time, but particularly maybe right before you go to bed. So as always, do this anytime you need to. We are going to be doing some forward folds and some twists. So start in a comfortable seat for you. Your legs can be out in front, they can be crossed. And I invite you to close your eyes. And maybe just for our purposes today, let's bring our palms of our hands onto our legs. And as we settle in, take some nice inhales and exhales, whatever feels comfortable for you, and rub your legs. Bringing your hands over your knees. Go as slow or as fast as you like. Start to slow it down to a stop. And be still for a few breaths. Notice where your breath is expanding your body, where your breath is emptying in your body. And I invite you to keep your eyes closed. Some of these poses you will recognize, so if you want to keep that inward look. I have some really pretty colors behind my eyelids right now, so, but I'm gonna look up. Let's bring our feet together in front of us in butterfly. I'm gonna keep the pillow underneath my bum, as if you feel yourself getting pulled back, or if your back is rounding like this, the pillow helps to bring you forward and anterior to your pelvis. Shoulders over hips, let's start to crawl ourselves forward. And when our body allows us to surrender, you might start to round your back. Take a nice exhale. And to continue that sort of self-care, self-love, you can take your thumbs and you can start to press along the inside of your foot, maybe even open up your feet a little bit. And I know I'm doing this while I'm actively up, but now I'm going to round down. So you can really do whatever you need here. Arms relaxed, feel the expanse of your upper back. And settle in. Take care of any discomfort you might have in the back of your neck by using a block here, or if you have an extra pillow, you can hug that pillow. And we're still working from home, so just use what you have. A couch and ottoman works really well for all the forward folds we're going to do today. any sounds you might have around you, just take them in. Real life surrounds us. So during this practice, I will be saying less than normal so that you can find stillness right where you are, surrounded by real life. Let's take a few more breaths here. Take a nice, slow inhale and a nice, slow exhale as we crawl ourselves back up to center. Bring our legs straight out in front of us. Bring a little movement of internal and external rotation for your thighs. Maybe roll your ankles. And now let's find just a few breaths of stillness. Bringing your feet wide now. This is where I get the most support and comfort and nice tug. Your feet might be closer together. So just find that spot where you're going to find maybe a line of tension on your inner thigh, or it might be in your hamstrings. And I always like to suggest, if this is too much, you can bend your knees in almost a bear sit and come forward. So whatever shape you need to make to find a line of tension that feels good to you. So for your hamstrings, you want to feel it in the meat of your hamstring or your calves, not behind your knee. And if you're in bear sit, you might find it more in your inner thighs. So shoulders over hips. And we're going to crawl ourselves forward until our body surrenders. Normally I would pull my ottoman close by and just hang out right here. So hopefully you found something to support you. Use the exhale to release any pockets of tension in your legs, in your shoulders. Relax your jaw. Find ease in this tug. Ease of breath, ease of mind. might find your upper body is surrendering, giving into gravity a little bit more. Still be mindful and gentle in accepting that surrender. And let's take a few more breaths here. A nice inhale and a long exhale. Start to crawl yourself back up to center. And before we're not going to fully come out of this pose. Let's bring our left leg in and scoot ourselves to coming over the right leg. Now we don't want to be totally over that right leg, and you'll see why. What I'd like us to do is try to find a nice stretch in our side while we're tending to the hamstring. So shoulders are over hips, but let's start to crawl, but a little sideways crawl. Find a stretch in that side body. Maybe you're experiencing a nice tug right above the hip crest. If you have an ottoman, maybe you want to bring your arm up on that ottoman or the couch. I'm going to leave my arm here, or you can bring it across your leg to help hold that space, that shape. And settle in. As you exhale, feel your chest drop. Maybe on the exhale, you feel that left leg come into a little more external rotation, relaxing the glute muscle. Let's take a few more breaths here. Pushing your hands into the ground, exhale, slowly coming up to center. And then however you need to, we'll switch sides. So the left leg is going to come out straight and the right leg is going to bend it. Shift yourself over a little bit. Sometimes the shifting will just look like this, you pulling back that left hip. And again, we're going to come in to this from the side. So our shoulders are over our hips, And let's just start to crawl over a little bit sideways, leading with that left shoulder. Find that side stretch. It is a little more muscle based if you are bringing your hand over, but you can also close your hand off with your other arm, which actually releases the muscles just a little bit. Relaxing the foot. Nice long exhale, and let that right hip drop or sink. Maybe you want to even rest your chin or your cheek on your left shoulder. It's releasing the back of the neck, supporting your head. Let's take a few more breaths here. And pushing our hands into the floor. Start to walk yourself up. Releasing both legs. Being gentle out in front of you. Start to bring some movement from the femur. And again, you can start to move the ankles. But always make sure you take a few breaths still. Few breaths of pause in between each. In our busy days, sometimes you're doing things one after the other, maybe even like overlaying, and just enjoy in this practice taking a few breaths in between tasks or in between these poses. And start to bring your legs in. Now, this is a pose I haven't done in any of the classes, but I feel like during nighttime, like or before you're going to sleep, or even when you just really need to just slow down, change the tone of your mind or of things that are going on around you, we are going to do Sleeping Swan, which is similar to Vinyasa and Pigeon. So what I recommend, definitely during this portion, you all do know that this, with your right leg in front, accessing your right hip, if you're hinging forward, you are accessing the tug. This could be your Sleeping Swan. This could also be your Sleeping Swan. Figure 4 could also be your Sleeping Swan. So Feel free to try the actual pose of sleeping swan, but know that there are so many other variations that I hope you know through the course of these yoga classes. So I'm going to show and set myself up the way that I do. Okay, so we're going to come into tabletop. Let's start on our left side. So I'm going to bring my left knee towards my left arm, let the knee come down, and I'm going to start to wiggle my right leg back as my left foot comes across. I don't know if you can see that. You might be able to see it on the other side a little better. Let the left foot nestle wherever it's going to nestle. You don't need it to be straight across. So you can see I have the right leg extended back, and my left leg, you can see it there. Don't try this at home. Don't lean back. All right, so my left hip is pretty high up, and since I want to relax here, I'm going to put a pillow underneath my left hip. I feel a nice tug here. I feel a little bit of extension in my right hip. I also don't do this pose very often, so this is a nice little treat for me too. I'm going to come down into my elbows. Some of you might be here and feel okay, but if you want to make it more of a relaxing pose, if you have your ottoman, you can also be resting on your ottoman. Since I haven't done this in a while, I'm going to stay right here. But if you know that you can go all the way down, you can go ahead and do that. I know a few people that fall asleep in this pose. If you do have a bolster, that can also be nice and helpful. Oh, there we go. Good night. If this is too much, you can always come out and do a figure 4 with your left leg crossed over your right. We're going to be moving onto our backs after we do each side. So if you are in figure 4, feel free to lay on your back now. Cross that left leg over. And maybe bring your right leg closer to you. Let's take a few more breaths here. Let's bring our upper bodies away from the floor, remove any blankets or pillows, and a way that I like to instruct coming out of pigeon pose is just lean over to the left. Straighten the left leg. You know, it's hard to see. Straighten that left leg just a little bit, enough to get you back up into tabletop. And let's take it back to a child's pose, a brief child's pose here. Again, taking in the sounds around us. I don't know if you heard that dog. Come up into tabletop, and let's do that on the other side. So from this view, you'll be able to see where my right leg goes, but it might be different on you. So your right knee is going to come up to your right arm, and set the knee down, and start to bring the right foot over towards the left hand. Curl your toes under on your left leg, or if you can just slide out. Keep going out of screen. Alright, find your sleeping swan. I'm going to take my pillow and put it under my right hip. And I have my bolster, and hopefully you have something too. Sometimes if I feel a little like way lopsided, I'll turn the bolster on an angle. Let's take a few more breaths here. And pushing your hands into the ground, removing any extra pillows. Lean over to the right. Bring that right leg out in front as you lower yourself down onto your back. And you can go ahead and do that. Especially with these recordings, you can do this practice at night, in the morning, in the middle of the day. And I always like to give the option, so please feel free to lay down in Shavasana and find your Shavasana and settle in. You can also join me up in seated if you would like to close out the class with me in seated. It's Cooper. So, wherever you might be, you can bring your hands folded in front of your heart, together in front of your heart, or folded over your heart. I am grateful for you. I'm grateful for this practice. I hope this brings you rest, or maybe a recharge, or self-reflection. Anything that you needed, I hope it brought to you. Love, laugh, and play. Namaste. Now I have to open the door while you're here to see what surprise